Our good friends in the media are constantly trying to lead us down the yellow brick road to amnesty. They have a quiver of tricks designed to make you think that the majority of Americans want it, and that you're an evil racist if you don't. What do we think? We think they're full of crap. First, there are the polls. I'm sure you've seen results claiming that 65% of Americans favor amnesty, although it most certainly wasn't called amnesty. We'll talk about twisting the language later. And wondered, who are these people, and where are they hiding? Well, an answer is only as accurate and honest as the question. Time after time, I've read poll questions with this type of response, and time after time, they go something like this. Would you prefer to deport the estimated 10 to 12 million illegal immigrants currently in the country, or offer them a path to citizenship if they pay fines and meet certain requirements? It's an insulting oversimplification that forces the respondent to choose between mass deportation and amnesty. Then there's the propaganda. There's the choice of words. Immigrant rights activists say and speak, while anti-illegal immigration activists yell and attack. Later, you'll hear a 100% preventable story where both the victim and the accused are here illegally, but multiple headlines refer to the victim as an illegal immigrant and the accused as a man. There's conflation. Look at stories very carefully as you read them. See how many times the term immigrant and illegal immigrant are used interchangeably, although the difference between the two is the crux of the entire issue. There is omission of words like the man in the 100% preventable story, and of entire stories. How many times have we reported on citizens being harassed, attacked, and injured by illegal aliens and their supporters, without so much as a peep from the mainstream media? Then there is the constant evolution of language used as they try out phrase after phrase to find a palatable euphemism in an attempt to sell you what you don't need or want. Undocumented, out of status, without papers, unauthorized. They all mean broke the law, not supposed to be here, illegal alien. Period. And then there's Plan B, smear the other guy. Be it an outspoken politician like Tom Tancredo, or a citizen with the guts to speak up for our country. If they can't bury the message, they label the messenger a racist to marginalize and discredit them both. And that's why we have to be aware. That is why we have to be smart. That's why we have to be vigilant. Because we've followed the yellow brick road and pulled back the curtain. And behind that curtain is the media, standing on a box of lies, vastly inflating this imaginary majority constituency of pro-amnesty Americans. So you'll think you're outnumbered and give up your country. But we've seen through the lies to the truth. And the truth is this. We don't want amnesty. We've never wanted amnesty. And we won't stand for it again. The victim, a 12-year-old girl from El Salvador. The accused, Francisco Pascual, 25, an illegal alien. The charges, sexual assault, kidnapping, unlawful restraint, risk of injury to a minor, and assault. The story. Police in Milford, Connecticut responded to a call from a local gas station. A concerned citizen had found the girl after she walked nearly a mile from the hotel where she says Pascual held and raped her. And how, you may be wondering, did she end up in the hotel with this jerk in the first place? The girl had been living with her grandmother in El Salvador. Her mother paid to have her smuggled into America illegally from Mexico to join the family in Boston. After dropping off the rest of the illegal aliens he was paid to transport on a cross-country road trip from California, Pascual decided to help himself to a bonus. The girl told police that once inside the hotel room, he ordered her to brush her teeth, and that the toothpaste tasted funny. The next thing she remembers, she woke up on the bed with her pants undone. Then Pascual emerged from the shower and raped her. These criminal enterprises aren't just for border states anymore. They now crisscross the entire U.S. They have been allowed to grow and flourish to feed businesses' insane desire for cheap, exploitable labor. Question: how many little girls have been raped in the name of profit, and how many more have to be raped before we say enough, loud enough, to end it? And how do we prevent it? Let me count the ways. If the mother didn't get in illegally, she couldn't have sent for the daughter. If the daughter didn't get in illegally, she wouldn't have been here to be raped. And of course, if our government had been doing its job, getting and keeping illegal aliens out of our country, Pasquale wouldn't have been here to rape an innocent 12-year-old girl, making this crime 100% preventable. The victim, Ronald Dean Hollingsworth, 51. The accused, Christian Molina, 30, an illegal alien from El Salvador. The crime, voluntary manslaughter. The story. Hollingsworth, Molina, and a third man were drinking at a house in Northern Virginia when talk turned to the theory of evolution. When the men used the term Homo sapiens, Molina, who speaks little English, thought they were calling him a homosexual. A fight ensued, during which Molina got Hollingsworth in a sleeper hold, and he lost consciousness. Despite the fact that he had used a strangling maneuver on Hollingsworth, both Molina and the other man claimed they thought he had just passed out from drinking. After about 20 minutes, they realized he wasn't breathing and called 911. Police were eventually able to identify him through fingerprints, but only after he first gave them 2 different false identities. Evidently, it's a habit with Molina. In October, he was sentenced on a false identification conviction. And guess what? He's already been deported twice before, under this name anyway. Fortunately, he's currently under an immigration detainer, so at least he should be deported after serving this sentence. Whew! What a relief that will be, to have Christian Molina and all of his aliases safely on the other side of our impenetrable border. Of course, if our government had been doing its job, getting and keeping illegal aliens out of our country, Molina wouldn't have been here to kill an American citizen. And all because Molina was too busy in his cycle of border jumping and deportation to learn English, making this crime 100% preventable. In the past few weeks, there has been a renewed interest in creating a new U.S. guest worker program. On the stump, John Amnesty McCain insisted that a sensible guest worker program must follow any serious border enforcement. The libertarian magazine Reason added their voice to the debate, using Singapore's current guest worker program as a model. And the Arizona Republic called for a state guest worker program as they begin to implement what is widely considered to be one of the toughest anti-illegal immigration laws at the state level. The one thing none of them mention, however, is our history with guest worker programs in this country, and what we should learn from it. Guest worker programs exacerbate illegal immigration. Always have, always will. In 1917, America instituted a guest worker program during World War I. 77,000 Mexicans were allowed to cross the border as guest workers. Less than half returned home at the end of their contracts. During World War II, another guest worker scheme was instituted, this one known as the Bracero program. And that Bracero program is behind many of our current problems with illegal immigration. The guest workers are always abused. In every incarnation of a guest worker program this nation has ever instituted, the guest workers have been robbed of pay by the employer, treated like slaves, physically abused, and deported when they complained about working conditions. Employers make the same false objections every time when talk turns to shutting the programs down. In the 60s, JFK decided to stop the ongoing Bracero program. Businesses accustomed to cheap labor insisted that crops would not be harvested and that prices would rise. Neither occurred. In fact, due to increased mechanization, those farms most dependent on guest labor actually saw increases in number of acres harvested and ended up being more profitable to boot. But don't the objections sound familiar? Crops will be rotting in the fields. Businesses will fail. The economy will collapse. We'll borrow a rebuttal by quoting noted historian Otis Graham. They might remind others that predictions of economic calamity in the event of the curtailment of access to a low-wage population have been made many times by those who use that labor. In the most important of such instances within the last century, slavery in the South and child labor in industry, the economy adjusted nicely to the sudden need to get the work done by others. In other words, we don't have a low-wage labor problem. We have a lack of ethical business owners problem. Guest workers have never been and never will be the answer, folks, unless, that is, your goal is to turn a profit by screwing the American worker out of jobs, fair pay, and decent working conditions. After 100 years of failed guest worker programs leading to more illegal immigration, abuse of the workers, and ironically lower profits for unethical businesses. Wouldn't the smart choice be to learn from our history instead of desperately trying to repeat it? Thanks for clicking in to this week's episode of the Blogs4Borders video blog burst. Thanks for our time off over the holidays. We hope you enjoyed yours as much as we did ours. And we hope that you're as rested as we are, because it's time to get back to the fight.